My M50 wife, F48, abandoned me 2 months ago to find herself. My wife, Mary's family has a history of dementia, developing memory issues in their mid to late 50s. Her mom, grandmother, and several other relatives on her mom's side have developed dementia. Her mom lived with us for 4 years until earlier this year, father is dead. Our kids are independent and out of the house. Oldest is in her last semester of college and the younger has enlisted. The last 4 years were tough on us. Our daughter moved for college but moved back a bit during COVID, and this was tough on our marriage. Living with someone with dementia is brutal. We had talked a lot the last year about taking the remaining college funds, our regular savings, sell or rent the house. We were ready to downsize anyway, quit our jobs, and travel for a year or until the money runs out. We just had to wait for her mom to move into a home. I understand her anxiety about developing dementia, and I was burned out. You live through COVID working remote, a wife working remote, a college and high school student taking remote classes, and a mother-in-law with dementia, and see how you hold up. Space finally opened up and we were able to move her mom into a care facility. I finally thought I had a chance to breathe. When we moved Mary's mom out, Mary's mental health took a huge downward spiral. I went from caring for her mom to caring for her. She felt guilty about putting her mom in a home and had lots of anxiety about developing dementia. Our plan was to start traveling in the summer of 2024. 2 months ago, I get home and she's left a note. My friends call it Exhibit A. Basically, she was going on our trip without me. She had quit her job, took most of the savings, and wasn't sure when she would be back. Maybe a year, maybe sooner. She, quote, knew I'd understand. Her location is turned off and my calls go directly to voicemail. I texted the kids a picture of the note. We have our own checking accounts for direct deposits of our paychecks, but we'd transfer most into a joint account to pay the household bills and savings. We both had access to the main savings account. We have joint credit cards we used for household expenses. The 2 cars and mortgage are also joint. And we both have our own savings account, our own retirement accounts, equally funded, and our own credit cards for gifts and fun things. I closed all joint cards and accounts. I waited a month to see if she would come back, hopefully before she spent our savings. And after only receiving 1 text the first month, I went to a lawyer. She basically said there was very little to do right now, other than change the beneficiaries of my retirement accounts and life insurance. Yay, my wife gets nothing else if I die alone while she's having our adventures. It was only a month and there was no way to serve her papers. My lawyer advised me to keep paying the mortgage and the cars. The cost of trying to get a judge to approve the sale of joint assets was more than making payments. I didn't want to ruin my credit by letting one of our cars get repossessed, but I can't sell it because she's on the title. I get random texts and she sporadically posts on Instagram. Of course, she has comments turned off. I want to block her so bad, but my lawyer advised me that it's better to maintain a communication channel that's not through our kids. Her last post was from Hawaii. She put in the comments how great a husband I was for letting her take this trip. I'm barely making it, paying 2 cars, a mortgage, household bills, insurance, hoping there are no emergencies because I have no savings. And she's enjoying our trip. F her. I am so pissed at her. I helped take care of her mom for 4 years, and her when she fell apart after her mom moved into a memory care home. And she returns the favor by abandoning me. I'll never get to take this trip and have to put off retirement. My only solace is the kids are pissed at her, but they'll probably forgive her eventually. Double F her. And I'm no fool, she's hooking up with guys. She looks good. She'll have zero problem getting men. I texted her and asked if she was sleeping around. A week later, she responded that she wasn't. Sure. So, I'm drinking alone on a Friday night and she's somewhere probably on a beach enjoying life. Triple F her. Edit. My lawyer has given me a bunch of advice and options. It was just way more than I could possibly include in this post. I could definitely push the issue harder, and I might need to at some point, but all that work is very expensive. Finding her, serving her, getting a judge to sign off, that's not cheap. I'm following up soon, and I plan on talking about the savings and my finances. Until I paid all the bills and realized how little was left, it didn't hit me that I had to worry about money. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "Thanking you for letting her take this trip is basically her saying, When I get through living the single life, I'll be coming back to the comfort and security of married life. When she returns, I'd say, welcome home, here are your walking papers. OP replied with, she is 100% under the delusion that she's coming back to a marriage. She's had a few conversations with our daughter, and she's convinced I'll understand and forgive her. User number 2 says, tell your daughter to pass along the message that you're filing for divorce for abandonment and see if this gets you some traction. I don't generally like the idea of going through kids, but they need to have your back on this. Maybe even tell her they'll cut her off as well if she keeps doing this to you and the family. Maybe even start posting about how she's living the good life and letting your friends and family know what kind of pickle this has put you in. Everyone probably assumes you're on board. If you're not, you're purposely driving the true narrative. OP replied with, she only hears what she wants. I asked her to send me an address to serve her papers. She only told me that we'll work it out when she comes home. The hell we will. My daughter tells her all the pain she's causing, but she just says that she only has 5 to 10 years left until she gets dementia. It is impossible to know if she'll even develop dementia, but shouldn't she be spending this time with her family? Oh, I want to tear into this lady. I can only imagine the rage this man has right now. What is she thinking? I understand, just like those last few sentences said, she possibly only has 5 to 10 years until her brain starts going to dementia town, but we don't even know. And she could have taken that trip with her husband. She could have spent time with the family she built, but no, she just pulled some teenage girl crap and said, bye, thanks for the money, we'll resolve it when I come back, forget consequences? Man, screw this lady, right? I understand her situation, but now because of her actions, I am less sympathetic. Anyway, there's an update. Let's see what happens. An update from my original post. I'm feeling much more positive now that the financial situation has become a little more manageable. Basically, I'm running up debt that we will get paid off when I sell the house. Even with lawyer fees, I have 6 to 8 more months before I have to worry about money, assuming there are no emergencies. My friend's wife gave me some good advice. Don't go from being a hero to a villain in your kids' eyes. How I talk about and treat my wife will determine my future relationship with my kids. I don't give a damn about my wife. But I don't want to make her a sympathetic figure or drive them away from the both of us. I followed up with the lawyer. Basically, she said we're going to have her pay back the savings she took through a reduction in her share of the assets. Any division of assets will include the savings she took. She'll also have to repay the money I spent maintaining the household while she was gone. There is plenty of equity in her share of the house and her retirement plans to cover that. She said that our finances are so intertwined after nearly 25 years of marriage. My wife is going to get some share of the assets. Best case is she agrees to the terms of the divorce and it's relatively cheap and quick. Otherwise, it gets complicated and expensive. She gave me a lot of options and how much I can expect to spend, so I decided to just mostly wait. I got a couple of credit cards with promo rates for purchases and transfers that gives me breathing room and I can conserve cash. I'll just pay them off when I sell the house. Now that my financial situation is less stressful, I'm actually enjoying her being gone. I'm free to do whatever I want, whenever. I don't have to cook or clean or take care of anyone. The house is quiet for the first time I can remember. I loved my wife, but her mental health weighed down on our marriage. On balance, it was worth it, until now. The first month or so, I expected her to be there whenever I'd get home. When someone was at the door, or if I heard noises, I'd think it was her. I'd check the doorbell cam obsessively. I'm not looking forward to her returning. It has to happen, but when she comes back, I'll have to deal with her. The divorce, getting the house ready to sell, dividing all our stuff, finding a new place to live. I'm hoping she'll stay away until after New Year's, but my daughter says she thinks her mom will be home for Christmas, either to stay or visit. My lawyer will have papers ready to serve her. Hopefully she'll just agree to the terms and continue her travels. People had some great advice. Renting or selling the house, it's not really feasible right now since I'd have to fix some stuff and get it ready to sell/rent. Since I need a place to live in the moment, I net each month. Rent, mortgage, rent on a new apartment, storage unit equals not worth it. My kids' rooms are still full of their stuff, and I don't want to spend the time and effort to clean them out and put them in storage. Also, there was getting a HELOC, home equity line of credit. This was great advice. I didn't realize I didn't need both people to get a loan. If I needed more more money, I can go this way. In the short term, the promo rates on the credit cards were cheaper and easier than getting a HELOC, serving my wife divorce papers or getting a divorce in absentia. There was also the suggestion of serving my wife divorce papers or getting a divorce in absentia. This is something I might need to do eventually, but the cost in lawyer fees goes up exponentially in cases like this. I'm comfortable just waiting for now. And also, look at the phone bill to see where she's at and possibly going. I did look at her usage and noticed that she doesn't post on social media until after she leaves a place. Like when she posted about Hawaii, she made a call that day that originated in Los Angeles. She posted about a cruise, and I figured out the dates, trying to serve her at the port possibly, but it ended a couple of days before she posted. She tried adding international calling to her line, but I blocked it, so she removed her phone from our account. Here are some more relevant comments. User 3 says, "Oh my gosh, I am infuriated on your behalf. The audacity of, my husband is so great for letting me take this trip. The petty in me hopes she'll be home for Thanksgiving because I want her world to explode." OP replied and said, "She's told her family she won't be home for Thanksgiving. Nobody told her my daughter and I are spending Thanksgiving with her family though. She can see the posts of us having a good time without her." User 4 commented, "Please change the locks on the house so she just can't waltz back in while you are out one day. I am so angry for you. I've been married for 23 years, and if my husband did this to me, God help anyone between me and him." OP replied and said, "She left her keys. I changed the code on the security system, the passphrase, and password. I also found a new hiding place for the emergency key we had in the backyard." And User 5 commented, "So, she's just going to blow through all the money and then assumes you'll take her back and care for her when her dementia hits?" OP said, "Seems to be her plan, but it's not mine." Update number 2. Nothing much has changed. We went to the in-laws with my daughter for Thanksgiving. It went well. Everyone was nice and tried to apologize for their daughter/sister/cousin/niece. I told them it's not their responsibility. I just appreciated them taking us in. It meant a lot to my daughter to be there. I don't know what to say. I have never read a post like this one before. I don't have jokes. I don't have humor to cope with this. Oh my gosh, I hate her. I want an update though. I wish there were cameras. I hope this guy has a letter prepared and be like, "Babe," or pardon me, former babe, "we need to talk because you are horrible. Oh my God, I've never heard of this." I'm sorry, I'm freaking out. Anyway, we need an update. Next story. Story number 2. My sick mom, 72F, said something shockingly vile. My father, 65M, and I, 28F, are having trouble forgiving. Context: my mom has always had narcissistic and emotionally abusive qualities. But for the past couple years, she has also been dealing with health issues, and my father and I are doing our best to help her manage day-to-day activities. She has enough agency to walk around and clean the house, but she struggles with becoming lightheaded at times, along with her elevated blood pressure. We are all currently living together. I moved in last year to help her when my dad works during the day, as well as to save some money. We both know that she has unresolved mental issues, as well as high anxiety, possible bipolar disorder, and we know that she will never willingly receive treatment for anything mental health related due to her narcissism. Which brings me to the incident. Walls are thin, and though my dad is quiet about his sexual frustrations, my mom is a very loud and vocal woman. She says things like, "I'm too old for sex," or "I'm too sick for sex," loud enough for me to hear. She always thought it was funny when I would get grossed out by this talk. She often brings up sex issues randomly with my father to me because she has no friends and thinks because I'm an adult that it's okay to talk about these things with me. I instantly leave the room and never entertain this talk, but she laughs at my disgust. My dad and I both hate that she is so loud about sex talk with my dad, given that I live in the house. She does not care. Again, our disgust amuses her. Recently, something that she said stunned my dad and me, and we are having trouble forgiving her. She did apologize 2 days later, but does not think she said anything extreme. My father and mother were in the kitchen, and I was in the bedroom with the door shut. I didn't hear anything from the conversation on my dad's side. He is considerably quiet, but I heartedly heard my mom loudly scream, "Why don't you ask your daughter for a BJ instead of me?" I got sickened. My dad screamed, "What is wrong with you?" and instantly left the house. It took me a bit to actually process that she said that. I collected myself and a few minutes later asked my mom if she could never say anything disgusting involving my dad and I again. She screamed at me, "It's just words, blowjob, 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 who cares?" I no longer want to help take care of her and want to move out as soon as possible. I don't know. I am used to her saying terrible and awful things, but I am deeply hurt by this comment in particular, like the fact that she would even utter something so gross and disturbing and not truly apologize or see anything wrong with it. My dad is old as well, and I feel so guilty about leaving him to deal with her emotional abuse. He is too selfless to leave her, but it gets worse every day, and he is severely depressed. I don't know how to get through to my mother. I wish there was a way to mute her screaming and vile commentary, to go to therapy, to change. I feel so much guilt. Can't you admit her? Isn't that a thing? Like you put someone in a mental facility or a psych ward or some kind of, I don't know. Like I'm just genuinely asking since they're asking for suggestions. I hope that the comment section provides some insight. I hope somebody in a similar situation can offer them some help. But man, what do you do, right? Like, yeah, mom kind of sucks, but also she's got mental issues, so she can't really help it. But man, you gotta get away from that. Poor dad. Okay, next story. Story number 3. I, 32F, finally asked my husband, 39M, for a divorce. We've been together for 7.5 years, married for 6. Dating my husband was like a dream come true. I would have dreams about him and admired him so much. I never thought he would be interested in me. We fell in love so fast, it was like a movie. We made lists of things we wanted to do together. We traveled all over. We made love all the time. We were so close. He would tell me I'm his best friend all the time. I knew he loved me deeply. I got pregnant on birth control 1 year into dating. He said, "Why couldn't we be parents? I know I want to be with you forever." And so we got married in a courthouse and our baby arrived 6 months later. I feel like I had won the lottery, like I was living a true fairy tale. I had the man of my dreams and we were a family. But he immediately changed as soon as our baby was born. He helped me with absolutely nothing. I would be up all hours of the night, feeding and pumping, and he would complain he needed a nap after sleeping all night. He decided he was going to leave his job, move us across the country, and take a different job. He became so stressed by work that he withdrew from me even more, and I felt so terribly alone and sad. I had no family or friends to help me or be with. We stopped having sex or going out together. Pretty much any resemblance of what we once had was gone. I told him I felt like he didn't love me and his child anymore, and that I was so sad. He said he's not responsible for my happiness. He ended up relapsing and lying to me about it for a year. I stayed with him and supported his recovery. It's years later and just different variations of these same things happening over and over again. At this point, I am resentful, and everything he does is annoying or disgusting to me. He's never even been an active participant in raising our child. We have no intellectual connection anymore, no romance. He has also gained 100 pounds. I encouraged him to get on meds, which he has, and to seek therapy, go back to AA meetings. I've encouraged his many work endeavors to help his happiness, to have testosterone therapy. We spent thousands of dollars on trainers, diets, weight loss injections, etc. We spent literally hundreds of dollars a month to help him be somewhat normal. I asked him to make long-term goals with me, and he said we don't know what the future holds and we can't plan things 2 years in advance. And that he has goals, but he can't talk to me because he has to walk on eggshells. This was the last straw for me. I am bitter over mourning the loss of my partner for years and years, and I am past being nice anymore about being a present partner, parent, and being healthy. I have finally said we need to separate. All of this to say, please share stories of your divorce and life after. I'm so scared to fail with the child's life in my hands. My parents divorced when I was a bit younger than my child is, and I never wanted this for her. I am so sad and scared. I'd love any encouraging words, stories, etc. Thank you for being here and giving me this safe place to finally release this. Story number 4. How do I, 36M, make my girlfriend, 32F, understand that I'm not responsible for paying for her kids' schooling? I've been dating my girlfriend for a little over a year now. She has 2 kids, 7M and 9M. I have one son, 12M. All 3 attend private school at the moment. My girlfriend's kid's father pays the $27,000 for each tuition for them currently. He's currently in the middle of bankruptcy after his company went under. He's completely broke right now and can't even make child support. My girlfriend has a job but doesn't make anywhere near enough to pay for the kids' tuition. The other night, she asked me if I could pay for it, and it would mean a lot to her and her kids. She said that she didn't want to send her kids to public school because then they would have to make new friends. She said it would be embarrassing for her if she withdrew her kids from private school. I told her straight up no. I'm not paying for them to go to private school. I let her know that I went to public school and I turned out fine. She asked me why I didn't send my son to public school. I told her it was none of her concern. She started to cry, and I told her my final answer was no. Her friend called me up later telling me how awful I was for not putting the kids through private school. I honestly feel like I'm not being unreasonable. I like the kids a lot, but I don't think going to public school will be detrimental to them. Somebody's all about appearances, and now it's crumbling down. She asked her boyfriend if he could pay for the private school. He said no, that was end of discussion. That's fine. But then the friend called and said, "You're a terrible person." You know what OP should have said? He should have said to the friend who called him, be like, "Hey, why don't you pay for these kids' private school?" And then the person on the other end of the phone would be like, well, you see, actually, and I'd be like, "Yeah, exactly," and then hang up. Bam! Public school isn't that bad. I went to public school and I came out all right. Right, guys? Right?